Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our live on the 20th of September. We are going to review the Barry Morphew arrest affidavit. Thanks for joining us. Maybe wait for a couple additional people to join us. We're going to go through the 129-page document. And as of earlier this afternoon, Barry was released from jail. He was released, so he posted bond and was released from the Chaffee County Detention Center earlier today, $500,000 cash bond. His two girls were there to pick him up, and don't know where he went at this point in time, but he was released from jail on bond. Let's see. I'm going to get started reading the 129-page document here. Okay. Let's see if I can get this. Give me a moment here. Hello, Swan Song. How are you? I did a very quick scan, so I really have not read it all the way through. Did you find anything new? Let's see. Did you learn anything new, Swan Song? The journaling of the abuses. I haven't seen that part yet. I'm very curious to find out the information of what the court has charged him with, like mutilation of a body or what have you. Very curious to figure out what evidence they have to prove that, since they don't have a body and they haven't found her. Okay, I'll get started. I think you're the only one with us at this point, but that's great. So thanks for joining. So arrest for the affidavit for arrest warrant for Barry Morphew. The undersigned, being duly sworn, deposes and swears this affidavit is made in support of an application for arrest warrant for Barry Lee Morphew, age 53, date of birth 10/17/1967. And in addition, I'll add that, many parts of this are redacted, removed from the document for legal purposes. And I'll have to review those at the time that I'm going over it. Your Affiant is investigating the disappearance and murder of Suzanne Renee Morphew, age 49, date of birth 4/30/1971, who was reported missing on May 10th, 2020, from their residence, 19057 Puma Path, unincorporated Chaffee County, Salida, Colorado. Based on the interviews, information, and evidence collected to date, Suzanne's husband, Barry, violated Colorado Revised Statutes 18-3-102, 1 subsection A, by committing murder in the first degree, 18-6-610, tampering with physical evidence, and 18-8-306, attempt to influence a public servant, and took affirmative steps to conceal the murder in the months following. Your affiant informs this court that he is the chief investigator. Chief investigator for the 11th Judicial District Attorney's Office, and has been employed with this office since January 2007, and has investigated missing person and homicide matters. Your affiant has been assigned to assist in the investigation of the case described herein below. Let's see. Your affiant has knowledge of this investigation from Chaffee County Sheriff's Office, CCSO, agents with the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, CBI, special agents with Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and my personal investigation. Your affiant further states that from investigation to date, all incidents described herein occurred in the county of Chaffee and within the state of Colorado. Suzanne took clear, articulable steps in January 2020 in attempts to separate from and divorce her husband, Barry. She told her family and close friends about her intentions, secretly recorded her notes of abuse in her phone because Barry monitored it, confronted Barry in arguments that she secretly recorded with help from a friend, and finally sent him a text 4 days before she disappeared saying that she was done. Quote unquote, let's handle this civilly. Barry, however, initially represented to investigators from CBI, FBI, and CCSO that his marriage with Suzanne was perfect, and she had no intention of leaving him. Barry's statements about his actions on the days before and after Suzanne's disappearance have been proven to be false and misleading by this investigation. Barry knowingly destroyed evidence that his relationship with Suzanne was deteriorating and that he was involved in her disappearance and homicide. Suzanne's bicycle and helmet were recovered. Oh, let's see. Give me 1 second here. Close to the Morphew residence, discarded before Barry left town in the early morning hours of May 10th, 2020. The investigation to date indicates that these items were not indicative of an accident, an animal attack, Suzanne being a runaway, Suzanne committing suicide, or Suzanne being a victim of stranger abduction. All records checks available to the FBI and local law enforcement indicate as of April 30th, 2021, that Suzanne has not used a credit card, nor her social security number, nor has she been contacted by law enforcement, not flown in an airplane, not crossed a national border, not established utilities or housing, nor otherwise continued in her normal pattern of life for over 355 days. Based upon legal supposition, Suzanne Morphew, based on this lack of proof of life, is deceased. Case law in parentheses, Colorado case law. People versus Scott, 176 Cal.2D 458. Within a month or so, Barry moving Suzanne and their daughter from Indiana to Colorado in April 2018, Suzanne sent a Facebook message of "Howdy, stranger" to her high school friend Jeff Libler. Suzanne and Libler, who resides in Michigan, began communicating regularly through 2018 and eventually began meeting each other in 2019. Suzanne traveled to meet him in New Orleans Indianapolis, Dallas, Michigan, and Florida, where they eventually had consensual intimacy. By September 2019, Barry took clear steps to determine if Suzanne was having an affair by stalking her at their own residence in Salida, Colorado, as witnessed by Suzanne's closest friend, Sheila Oliver. In January 2019, Barry took Suzanne's phone from her when they were in a resort in Mexico while she was talking to Libler, but he was unable to determine Libler's identity. On May 8th, 2020, Suzanne saved in the notes section of her phone that Barry accused her of having a boyfriend on May 6, 2020. On May 9th, 2020, Suzanne's last proof of life occurred in the 2 p.m. hour when she was messaging Libler with a selfie while Barry returned to the residence. Suzanne did not respond to Libler's return message at 2:44 p.m. and 2:46 p.m. At the same time, Barry admitted to running around their property with a gun and placing his phone in airplane mode at 2:47 p.m. The computer activity telematics from Barry's Ford F-350, the activity of his cell phone, and statements he made to law enforcement in multiple interviews confirm that from 2:47 p.m. on May 9th, 2020 until 5:37 a.m. on May 10th, 2020, he took steps to dispose of evidence of Suzanne's disappearance and death, create a false alibi for himself, and stage a crime scene. Yes, Swan Song. Barry, apparently he does use that perfectly description. And yes, that 2 p.m. until 5 in the morning is definitely seems to be the time frame when something really went wrong. In the recent months following the presentation of evidence by FBI agents to Barry, he has changed his critical details about his activities in the 2 p.m. hour on May 9th in attempts to match the evidence. Since January 2021, Barry has admitted to chasing a chipmunk with a gun around the house while Suzanne was outside sunbathing, shooting a deer with a tranquilizer dart to explain a dart or needle cap in the dryer, disposing of the tranquilizer solution during his trip to Broomfield, following a bull elk down Highway 50 in the 4 a.m. hour on May 10th to explain why his truck would be headed west, which in parentheses where the helmet was discarded, and finally stating to the FBI on April 22nd, 2021 that he looks guilty from the evidence and God allowed these things to happen. Barry's involvement in Suzanne's disappearance and death can be organized into the initial scene and interviews. Section 1, Suzanne's affair and her attempts to leave him. Section 2, Barry's early statements to CBI from May through June 2020. And Section 3, the evidence recovered by law enforcement, which is Section 4, witness statements, Section 5, and Barry's statements to the FBI in 2021, wherein he, well, that's an interesting word. I really haven't come across that one. Generally describes what happened to Suzanne when he has shown the evidence in the case, Section 6. The following case synopsis was prepared for this affidavit by your affiant, with the assistance of FBI Special Agent Jonathan Grusing. This affidavit was edited and reviewed by S.A. Kenneth Harris and CBI agents Joseph Cahill and Derek Graham. The affidavit includes footnotes that denote critical deceptive statements and inconsistencies by Barry that are addressed later in the affidavit. Section 1, the initial scene. Give me a moment here. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. Next page. On May 10th at approximately 5:58 p.m., CCSO Deputy Damon Brown was notified by dispatch to contact Scott Ritter, later correctly identified as Martin Ritter, by phone regarding a possible missing person who also has cancer. Dispatch further informed that the missing person was named Suzanne Morphew and that her husband Barry was driving back from Denver and did not have cell service, when in fact he was at his hotel in Broomfield with cell service. Martin Ritter reported to Deputy Brown that he was contacted earlier by telephone by Suzanne's daughter. So that's a redacted section, blank, 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 was attending college at Western State University in Gunnison, Colorado, and did not reside at the Morphew residence. Redacted section, blank, explained to Martin that she was concerned because she could not reach Suzanne via telephone or text. Blank asked Martin to go to the residence and check on Suzanne. Martin's wife, Jean Ritter, proceeded to the residence but could not locate Suzanne, so Martin contacted Barry via telephone. Martin estimated to Deputy Brown that Suzanne went missing between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. that same morning. Deputy Brown reporting. Deputy Brown attempted to contact Barry at 6:05 p.m. without success, and then again at 7:10 p.m. when he spoke with Barry. Barry stated the last time he saw his wife was at their residence at 5 a.m. that morning, May 10th, 2020, when he got up to leave for Denver for a landscaping job. Suzanne was still sleeping and Barry did not speak with her. Barry advised Deputy Brown that Suzanne had recently gained an interest in mountain biking and began mountain biking on a regular daily basis. Barry advised that when Suzanne would bike, she would wear a turquoise in color bicycle helmet and a windbreaker jacket. No other description given for the windbreaker jacket. He described that Suzanne also had an iPhone, which she would take with her when biking. Barry added that Suzanne was going through her cancer treatments and he provided Deputy Brown with her phone number, which is therefore redacted, when Deputy Brown requested it. Deputy Brown and CCSO Sergeant Lamine Molinax drove to the Morphew residence and turned onto County Road CR 225 from US Highway 50 at about 7:31 p.m. They drove slowly, looking along the steep incline along the shoulder of CR 225 for the bicycle. As Deputy Brown turned the corner, he saw a blue mountain bike down near the ravine close to the bottom of the hill with the front tire pointed downwards towards the creek. Sergeant Molinax accompanied Deputy Brown to investigate the blue Santa Cruz mountain bike. They saw no indications of a crash, as Deputy Brown noted. The vegetation around the bike was not flattened in that area where a human body would have landed. There was no blood around the bike, nor was there any apparent damage to the bike. Due to the steepness of the incline, the bike should have been damaged if an accident had occurred. When Deputy Brown moved the bike up the path, he noticed the front brake pad was seized and the handlebars were turned completely to the left, causing the brake cables to wrap around the bike frame. Deputy Brown, Sergeant Molinax, examined the dirt shoulder of CR 225, immediately above the area where the bike was recovered, and did not observe any braking marks or skid marks from a bicycle. A little bit of notes at the bottom of the page. In a separate interview, Martin Ritter told the FBI that Barry said he was at a work site with workers present when he received the final call from Martin. Barry also told CBI agents multiple times that he was at the Via Vara work site in Broomfield, Colorado, when he received that call and had to drive to his hotel to drop off his tools for workers. The Broomfield hotel video, however, disproved those assertions by Barry. Okay. Let's see. Thanks everybody for joining us. We are reviewing the Barry Morphew arrest affidavit, and Barry was released from jail today on his $500,000 cash bail. His two daughters were there to pick him up. You guys could just give me 1 minute. I will be right back and I'll get started on the next page. Thank you. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Thanks for your patience. Deputy Brown examined the front rim of the bike tire and he observed no damage to the rim or spokes. When he expected to see if the brake had locked and the weight from a rider who would have been going head first over the edge. Deputy Brown wrote, after all these observations, I started to question if something criminal had occurred, as it looked like the bike was purposely thrown in this location. Meanwhile, redacted section, boyfriend blank, his father, Michael Harvey, and his sister, blank, arrived at the residence and assisted with searching the immediate area, finding no signs of forced entry at the door or any other points of entry into the residence. Deputy Brown walked through the Morphew residence with blank present. Deputy Brown observed that the residence was well kept and orderly with the exception of one guest room, later identified as blank bedroom. In blank bedroom, the bed was stripped of the bedding. Swan song. What made you think that in totality that he really did it? Does anybody else have any comments as well as do they really believe Barry did it? Is he guilty? And how? Deputy Brown observed in the master bedroom what appeared to be one .22 caliber round of ammunition, unfired, on the floor next to the bed. He then looked under the bed to inquire where the said ammunition may have come from and observed what appeared to be a rifle storage case. In the main floor foyer area of a storage closet, Deputy Brown observed what appeared to be a reddish-brown substance that was smeared midway on the side of the closet wall. In the kitchen area, Deputy Brown observed a laptop computer and documents scattered near the laptop computer. In the 3-car garage area, Deputy Brown discovered 2 white SUV vehicles, later identified as Suzanne's personal vehicle and blank personal vehicle. At the time of Suzanne's disappearance, blank and blank were on a road trip traveling out of Colorado in blank vehicle. Therefore, blank vehicle was parked in the garage. Lots of things throughout the document I'm sure will be redacted. He also observed that there were home surveillance cameras mounted on the exterior of the residence. Deputy Brown described that the placement of the mounted exterior cameras are ideal for viewing any persons or activity coming onto or leaving the Morphew property. The notes, the reddish-brown stain was processed by CBI lab and determined not to be blood. Moving on. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you put a 1 or a yes if the audio is working properly? That would be great. At 9:37 p.m., CCSO Commander Avila brought Barry into the house and advised Deputy Brown that they were looking for a piece of clothing from the residence for the search dogs to locate Suzanne. Barry walked into the master bedroom and pointed to the clothing on the floor in the closet. Deputy Brown observed mountain bike gloves and padded shorts in the pile. Commander Avila took a pair of the shorts. Deputy Brown was walking in the driveway when Deputy DeFurio told him that there were barefoot marks inside of the bucket on the bobcat. Deputy Brown went with him to examine and found that the cutting blade on the bucket of the bobcat appeared to be newly replaced along with the nuts and the bolts. Sergeant Mullinex documented that he was present when Deputy Brown was speaking to Barry at approximately 7:10 p.m. over the phone. Barry said that Suzanne rides her bike regularly and usually leaves between 8 and 9 a.m. Upon inspecting the bike with Deputy Brown, Sergeant Mullinex activated his body camera, as did Deputy Brown. Sergeant Mullinex noted the bike appeared out of place. Sergeant Mullinex and Deputy Brown walked down to the ravine as they called out for Suzanne. They walked a few hundred yards along the ravine without finding anything of interest. Sergeant Mullinex asked Deputy Brown to go to the Morphew residence while he stayed with the bike, which Deputy Brown moved up to the road. He moved the bike up to the road. Deputy Brown contacted dispatch, as they had no cell service, and asked for local hospital to be checked for Suzanne. Dispatch informed Deputy Brown that Suzanne had not been to the hospital. Sergeant Mullinex asked dispatch to ping the number given for Suzanne's cell phone. Dispatch informed Sergeant Mullinex that the cell phone appeared to be off and last known activity was 4:23 a.m. on the present date, with a general location about 11 and a half miles west of a cell tower in Poncha Springs, Colorado. While Sergeant Mullinex was by the bike, Blank approached and identified himself as the boyfriend of Suzanne's daughter. Blank possibly there, confirmed that the bike belonged to Suzanne. As Sergeant Mullinex examined the bike, he found no scratches or damage to it. At about 8:42 p.m., Barry arrived on scene in his truck by himself, walked up and touched the bike and identified the bike as Suzanne's. CCSO Sergeant Claudette Julian contacted Blank on scene the same date, and he reported that Blank has told him that Suzanne and Barry argue frequently. Blank added that he was the one who introduced Suzanne to mountain biking a month ago. He described her mountain biking skills as intermediate level. When Blank was asked if he noticed anything out of order in the residence, he described that the bedding from Blank bed was stripped off. Blank thought that was strange because Blank does not live at home. Blank also thought it was unusual for Suzanne's bike not to have any damage if she possibly crashed on her mountain bike. Sergeant Julian next contacted Blank, who stated that she had last talked to Suzanne on the night of May 9th, 2020. And the side note there are no electronic records of Suzanne communicating by any means with anyone after 14:11 on May 9th, 2020, when she sends her last message by LinkedIn to Jeff Libler. Phone records show that last communication. She had last seen Suzanne at the end of April 2020. And Blank advised that she had sent a text message to Suzanne wishing her a happy Mother's Day on May 10th, 2020. But Suzanne had not replied. She also tried calling Suzanne, but the cell call went directly to voicemail. At that time, she received a call from Barry asking if she contacted Suzanne. Blank advised him that she attempted to, but was not able to reach her. Barry asked Blank to let him know if she was later able to reach Suzanne. Blank stated that Suzanne mountain bikes regularly during afternoon hours, often using a wide trail across the highway. Suzanne normally took her cell phone, sunglasses, and blue backpack hydration bladder on the bike rides. When Blank was asked if there were any concerns with her parents' relationship, she denied any concerns or issues. When asked if there was any reason why Suzanne may leave the area, she denied that Suzanne would ever leave for an extended amount of time. She also denied any recent incidents or concerns between Suzanne and anyone else. Sergeant Julian spoke with blank and blank reported that she had last seen Suzanne on Tuesday when she and blank left on the road trip. She reported last exchanging text messages with Suzanne on May 9th, 2020, stated that Suzanne works out at the gym regularly and that recently she has taken up mountain biking daily. Blank added that Barry has mountain biked with Suzanne a couple of times. Blank denied any marital issues between her parents and described their marriage as very loving. Sergeant Julian spoke with blank on May 11th, and blank confirmed that Suzanne wrote religious devotionals in a journal. When asked to describe her blank bedding at the Morphew house, blank said that her bed is always made, her sheets and pillowcases are I think it might say bright blue, but blue in color, and her comforter is brown and reddish. Sergeant Julian spoke with blank on May 11th, 2020, and blank admitted that her parents argued a lot and that she feared they would separate or would divorce. She said that they were not doing well and that it was for the best that they would separate if they would separate. Blank reported that they, meaning Barry and Suzanne, were both in an unsafe place emotionally. Blank stated, it's not quite clear here, him, blank, and my dad are different people, and they, being Suzanne and Barry, argue, and I mean they get in fights, and I don't know, they both have just not felt safe at some point. Blank added that Suzanne and Barry weren't getting along and had discussed divorce. Excuse me there, a little tongue-tied. When blank was discussing if she had ever seen any text messages on her parents' phone, she advised that she does not ever look at the messages on their phones. When blank asked if there was a possibility that her mom may have left home because she did not feel safe, blank said her mom would never leave her. Blank later said if Suzanne would have left, she would have contacted her and her sister to let them know she was okay. Yes, Swan Song, I agree with you. It's like the two daughters are completely contradictory to each other. Blank explained that she and her sister, blank, were heading back home on May 10th with their friend, blank, but there were no plans for blank or blank to stay at the Morphew house after the trip. A couple notes at the bottom, which I'm not doing at the exact time through the document here. In multiple interviews with the FBI in 2021, including one on 4/22/21, Barry denied that he and Suzanne discussed divorce. Barry's assertions were with the CBI regarded the arguments between him and Suzanne on his phone. He said his daughters always looked at his phone. Let's see here. 9. Blank said Suzanne always carried her cell phone with her and had a charging cable on her nightstand next to her bed. And they never located the charging cable next to the bed for Suzanne's phone. Sergeant Julian spoke with Jean Ritter, who confirmed that blank contacted her and Martin Ritter via telephone on May 10th, 2020 at approximately 4 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. because she could not reach Suzanne. Blank asked them to go to the house and check on Suzanne, and Jean went to the house. She did not locate Suzanne at the house, so she called Barry and told him what happened. Barry asked Jean to look for Suzanne's bicycle and call 911 if she didn't locate Suzanne. Jean returned to the house a second time, but once again, she did not locate the bike or Suzanne. After Jean returned home the second time, Martin called 911 to report that Suzanne was missing. Martin sent Jean back to the Morphew house once more to leave a few notes posted for Suzanne in case Suzanne returned. So the Barry interview on May 11th. In the early morning hours of May 11th, 2020, CCSO Detective Burgess and your affiant interviewed Barry Morphew. Barry explained that he left his residence at approximately 5 a.m. on May 10th. 2020, to travel to Broomfield, Colorado for a construction job. And a little note here, Barry's phone entered airplane mode at 4:32 a.m., and he altered his numerous prior accounts to law enforcement to match phone and truck evidence when speaking to FBI agents in April 2021. Barry said he turned left on Highway 50 when leaving his house, the opposite direction of heading to Broomfield, because he saw a bull elk crossing the road. Barry eventually pointed to an area on a Google map that indicated he turned his truck around at an exit in Garfield, Colorado, about 5 miles in the opposite direction of his trip. Okay. He did not speak to his wife, Suzanne, that morning because she was still asleep when he left. Barry stated that his daughters were to return to their home on May 10th from a camping trip. Barry said that he texted his wife to wish her happy Mother's Day, and he did not get a response, possibly due to poor cell service at their residence. Barry said that he tried to text her again later that morning, again with no response. Barry reached his daughters via text messages, and they also stated that they could not reach their mother. Barry specifically provided his route of travel to Broomfield and all subsequent interviews with CBI. Barry never stated that he turned west on Highway 50. Barry explained that his wife's plan for May 10th was to clean the house and get the spare bedrooms ready for their 2 daughters coming back, with possibly a friend to visit. Barry said that his wife rides her mountain bike every day. He added that Suzanne was diagnosed with cancer twice in her life, and she beat it. Barry said that he owned firearms, and all the firearms and ammunition are stored in a locked gun safe in the garage. It should be noted that on May 11th, 2020, while law enforcement searched the Morphew residence, 2 firearms were located at the residence that were not inside a gun safe. A high-powered rifle was located in a closet on the ground floor in a closet. The rifle appeared to be spray-painted in a camouflage pattern, and your affiant could not locate a serial number. A Benelli 12-gauge shotgun was found lying against the wall in the garage. Also, a loaded .22 long rifle cartridge was located lying on the floor in the master bedroom near the right side of the bed. This is the same unfired .22 round previously referenced above. After your affiant ended the interview with Barry, he was told that law enforcement was going to seize his truck to process it. Okay, next page. Anybody, have you heard anything new? Anything you hadn't heard before in this affidavit so far? Let me know in the comments section. And it would be great if everybody clicked the like and subscribe button and the notification bell. On May 11th, 2020, pursuant to an authorized search warrant obtained by your affiant, while assisting with the search of the exterior of the residence, your affiant located what appeared to be suspect blood on the apron of the garage near the east side of the 3-car garage. Additionally, it was noted by your affiant and other investigators that there was a Bobcat skid steer parked in a parking area driveway west of the Morphew residence. Next to the skid steer, south, was a flatbed trailer. The trailer was in its tilt position. The trailer bed had some loose gravel and dirt on it. The trailer did not have a jack on it, and the tongue of the trailer was lying on the ground. The skid steer was parked to the left side near the trailer tongue. The items were positioned such that the skid steer bucket appeared to have been used to unhitch the trailer from a vehicle, most likely Barry's truck, and set the trailer on the ground. Your affiant examined the skid steer and noted that the cutting edge of the skid steer bucket had been recently replaced, so there was no wear on it. It also noted several larger bolts and nuts were lying in the skid steer bucket on the front end of the trailer bed. In a news story, and a note here on that, it's easier to say Bobcat swan song than skid steer. in a note there on that particular issue. In a news story that aired on Fox 21 on 8/21/20, Barry stated that he had an inconsistency with one-time line, adding that I was only because when I just didn't know the time, I did something, a mechanical thing to my bobcat. I was confused and I just found out my wife was missing. Suzanne's helmet on May 13th, 2020. Search teams located what they believed to be the bicycle helmet Suzanne would have been wearing. Investigators located a photo of Suzanne prior to this date with Suzanne wearing the helmet, documenting its teal color. This item was located at the following GPS coordinates. In parentheses, approximately 0.84 miles northwest of the site, the bicycle was located, approximately 10 meters south of Highway 50 and 1.52 miles from the Morphew residence. Inside the helmet, law enforcement located a piece of paper in the top portion of the helmet with Suzanne's name, phone number, and address, as well as Barry blank and blank phone numbers. This item was collected by law enforcement and placed into evidence. Excuse me. Let's see, next page. Additional photos and things attached to some of the documents. That diagram specifically showing it's pretty hard to see, but this would be the location of the helmet. And this is the location of the bike, and the Morphew's residence is east, this direction. On May 13th, 2020, search teams were still searching areas in the proximity of Suzanne's bicycle and helmet, as well as law enforcement driving roads in these areas attempting to locate Suzanne. During this effort, law enforcement located what they believed to be fresh tire impressions and a piece of cloth with a reddish-brown unknown substance on it. Also located in the area of the piece of cloth, tire impressions were located. These tire impressions were casted on May 14th, 2020, and by deputies with the CCSO. As of the present date, these items appear to be unrelated to Suzanne's disappearance. CBI crime scene report. FBI Special Agent Grushing provided the following excerpts from the CBI crime scene report, lab case number P20-1889, written by CBI crime scene analyst Tanya Atkinson. Regarding the interior of Barry's F-350 on May 12, 2020, the interior of the truck was cluttered with several personal items. The interior dash area was dusty and dirty. Notes to that. The interior condition of Barry's truck conflicts with his subsequent statements to CBI and FBI that the purposes of his 5 trash runs in Broomfield were to clean out his truck. Regarding Suzanne's white Range Rover on May 19th, 2020, there were personal items to include Suzanne's driver's license and credit cards throughout the vehicle. Items from the interior were pulled out by sections or areas and photographically documented on butcher paper. Some of the items collected included a woman's jacket and knit cap in the rear, pairs of sunglasses, and a key in the glove compartment. A Camelback, which notes to that include Suzanne's Instagram pictures above of her bike riding, have her blue Camelback water pack visible, making it unlikely she would have taken a bike ride without it. So they had the Camelback and sunglasses in the front passenger seat, spa chemicals on the front passenger floorboard, and a Scott bicycle service receipt in the front driver door. Let's see. Okay, next page. Regarding the tranquilizer dart cap on May 9th, 2020, a plastic needle cover was located in the dryer drum. This was collected by the CCSO along with additional items and swabs from different areas. The needle cover was recovered with sheets from blank bed inside the dryer. Section 2. Suzanne's attempts to leave Barry and her affair. Suzanne told numerous close friends, her daughters, and Barry that she wanted out of her marriage, yet Barry refused to listen to her. She suspected Barry of having affairs for years and kept her affair very secretive to protect her daughters and the family of Jeff Libler. A small portion of interviews and evidence of her attempts to leave Barry and of her affair follows. Sheila Oliver interview. On May 11, 2020, CCSO Detective Burgess conducted a phone interview with Sheila Oliver, Suzanne's best friend who lives in Indiana. Sheila had constant communication with Suzanne via text messages and Snapchat messages until Saturday, May 9, 2020. Sheila said that Suzanne promptly checks her Snapchat messages, and Sheila was worried that Suzanne did not read these Snapchat messages from her on May 9th, 2020 at 6:40 p.m. and 6:48 p.m. Mountain Time Zone. Suzanne had been very excited about the wedding of Sheila's daughter on May 10th. Suzanne was helping Sheila prepare and eager to watch it online. Sheila provided text with Suzanne with the following. March 25th, 2020. Suzanne, what appears to be probably taking care of myself physically in a stressful marriage. Blank and I had a very tough talk yesterday. She's weary of the tension here. She knows he is toward me and almost begged me to divorce him. All right. Next page. It's 129 pages total in this extremely long affidavit. If everybody could just hold for just a moment, I will be right back. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Back to Sheila. What does he want? Have you talked any more about splitting? Suzanne, he threatens, but I've never come out and said I wanted it today. He thinks I'm holding on till after blank graduates, at least. He probably thinks I'm not strong enough to do it, given finances. Suzanne, she blank even mentioned a restraining order. I'm sick. I've had conversations like that. I'm sick. I've had conversations like that with my 16-year-old. Sheila, he's nuts. Suzanne, it's Jekyll and Hyde again. Pretty much told him I can't be healthy and stay in this. Sheila, what did he say? Suzanne, he threatens to come home and pack. Ugh. Suzanne, he won't speak of divorce. And then a side note, on 4/22/21, FBI agents informed Barry of this message on 3/25/2020 that Suzanne discussed divorce with him. Barry stated he did not recall that discussion. So back to Sheila stating he's nuts, and Suzanne states he's Jekyll and Hyde. After Suzanne had stated he won't speak of divorce, begging for another chance. I'm so torn, but my heart, which appears to me possibly to be, but in my heart, I know who he is. During the interview, Sheila also told Detective Burgess that she was so concerned with Barry's behavior that she purchased a spy pen for Suzanne, which she gave to her in January 2020 when she met up with Suzanne in Florida. This device was designed to record conversations covertly. The downloaded audio files of the spy pen conversations will be summarized in Section 4. Sheila told FBI agents in 2021 that Barry called her in the summer of 2019 when Suzanne was in Michigan. Asking why Suzanne was not returning his calls, he stalked Suzanne and Sheila at the Puma Path house in September 2019 to see what Suzanne was up to. Sneaking through the woods, and of earlier accounts in Indiana when Barry suspected Suzanne may have had a boyfriend before they got married. Melinda Beaumonk interview. Melinda Beaumonk was interviewed by FBI Special Agent S.A. Richard Tipton on May 19, 2020, at the FBI office in Knoxville, Tennessee. Beaumonk is the sister of Suzanne and last talked to her on Friday, May 8th via text message. Beaumonk sent a text to Suzanne on Mother's Day, May 10th, 2020, and received no response. For the previous 6 months, Suzanne had texted Melinda and told her that things were getting tense between her and her husband, Barry. Beaumonk advised that Suzanne told her that she had come to realize what a narcissist her husband, Barry, was, and that she had come to terms with his narcissistic ways. Beaumonk described Barry as one who lives a double life, a liar, an adulterer, a bully, one that has to have control, cunning, fools people a lot, loves money, and treats his wife and daughters as trophies. Beaumonk advised that her sister Suzanne was a codependent person and was very dependent on her husband Barry. They lived a phony life and would often put on a front as if they were happy together. Beaumonk thought it was unusual for blank and blank to take the road trip on Mother's Day weekend, especially with the coronavirus pandemic. Beaumonk advised that she received a phone call from her father, who lives in Michigan, on Monday, May 11th, to tell Beaumonk that Suzanne was missing. On November 10th, 2020, S.A. Grushing spoke with Beaumonk about the message Suzanne sent to her on Friday, May 8th, 2020 at 9:28 a.m. Okay, next page. It's hard dealing with the harsh abrasiveness and having to show respect. He's also been abusive emotionally and physically. There's so much. I went through a period of acceptance and I feel more angry now. Anger at what I've allowed. Beaumonk told S.A. Grushing that she did not have context for why Suzanne texted on May 8th that Barry was physically and emotionally abusive. She had not discussed those things with Suzanne and was surprised to see her text that. When Beaumonk found out on May 11th that Suzanne was missing, she said, "Damn it, damn it, damn it," to herself because she was certain that Barry killed her. Beaumonk described years of Suzanne being a submissive housewife to Barry in Indiana, allowing him to control their finances, and Suzanne's longtime suspicions about Barry having affairs. Beaumonk said Suzanne loved Barry and wanted to be a good wife and mother to her 2 girls. Beaumonk thought the primary reason for the move to Colorado was Barry's long-term desire to move there for hunting. She thought Suzanne threw caution to the wind and moved in an attempt to save their marriage and start over. Beaumonk provided documentations that Suzanne inherited approximately $208,000 from their mother, Adrienne, passing away in 2013, and another approximate $217,000 when her grandmother-in-law, Helen Burnett, passed away in 2016. Let's see. A little side note, Suzanne's grievance list included multiple references to Barry controlling the finances. And that's included in the recording pen section. So the notes from Suzanne's phone. On July 7, 2020, FBI computer scientist Brian Turner recovered a file from the return of search warrant for the Apple blank, 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 blank. This file appeared to contain notes that Suzanne wrote to herself in her Apple account on or before Friday, May 8th, 2020. The attachment shows that the notes were backed up to the cloud on May 8th, 2020, around 7:01 to 7:03 a.m. C.S. Turner retrieved the notes that contained 60 lines of apparent issues Suzanne had with Barry. Excerpts from these lines includes Monkey App. Monkey App is an application on a phone that can function as a dating website. Fizz abuse, mental abuse while drinking, NYE. Name calling, said I only need for money, $. Women on FB, good for business. Lies about deer, pants unzipped. Trips to Colorado, pen on hand. Wear bear claw, FaceTime in AZ, angry. Stalking Sheila and me in house without telling. Lied and said you needed phone to call Casey. Chased me around resort and threatened. Took phone. Not safe alone with you. Can't be trusted. Oppressive. Slam on brakes when angry. Okay. Next page. This continues the notes on Suzanne's phone. Threatened to jump out of car. Gun. Shame and guilt daily for not meeting expectations. Nothing to do with infidelity. Everything to do with your character and who you are at core. Your lack of control over me equals insecurities equals a sick relationship. Situation with blank. When I'm I'm assuming that means Indiana. Accuse me of going behind your back. Got up and left blank and me at the table. Left plate, no comment, just to watch TV. Act like I'm intruding in the garage. Verbal abuse. Writing checks for cash out of business account. Wiring money from INV account without asking or discussing. Monex in your name only. Pull blank in, hurting her. Left 2 times on treatment weeks. Bedroom profession about marrying, having babies and sleeping together. Don't care about preg possibilities. Hot tub talking to self. Accuse me of BF and blank. 5/6. Wrote in Al-Anon book. Knew I was looking at phone in bonus, ? Hello, Cowboys Galaxy. Thanks for joining us. It does seem to be quite alarming, the dynamic between the two of them, Barry and Suzanne. Moving on, May 6, 2020, message to Barry. Pursuant to an authorized search warrant, Barry's Verizon phone was searched by FBI examiner Jim Stevens, who found an image that Barry likely swiped the message off his screen, and the swiped image was inadvertently saved. This message was not recovered separately in Suzanne's phone or Barry's phone. The image appears to be a message from Suzanne to Barry. The date of this message was May 6, 2020 at 10:13 a.m. and it states, I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly. And that would be at the bottom of that. There's a bit of the next part of the message that's can't read. A couple notes here. The BF stands for boyfriend. The blank for cancer medication Suzanne was taking, and 5/6 for May 6, 2020, as confirmed by Barry to FBI agents interviews in March and April 2021. Another note, Suzanne dropped blank off in Gunnison at blank apartment on the afternoon of May 5th, leaving her alone with Barry from that evening through Mother's Day. Suzanne sent the "we just need to figure this out civilly" on the morning of May 6th. Okay. Upon the recovery of Suzanne's spy pen, S.A. Gershing and S.A. Kenneth Harris began prioritizing anyone named Jeff in Suzanne's social media phone records or other accounts. On the pen, Suzanne spoke to an unknown male named Jeff while she was in Florida as if he was her lover, but no last name or phone number was provided. After months of investigation and after working through a list of about 20 or more Jeffs possibly associated with Suzanne, Jeff Libler, a former high school friend of Suzanne, was identified and interviewed. Libler provided the following information. And I think I'm just going to let everybody know. It's a really thorough, long document. I think I will cover probably about 25 pages or so and continue the document tomorrow to review the rest and get as far as we can. So we're here at Jeff Libler, what information he provided. So on November 4th, 2020, S.A. Gershing and S.A. Harris spoke with Libler on the phone and recognized his voice as being the voice on Suzanne's pen recording. After discussing his relationship with Suzanne and Libler talking about their secret meetings, he asked to continue the interview in person. He said after he learned Suzanne went missing, he figured there's no way she's alive. He said he is not proud about not coming forward, giving reasons to agents that he has 6 kids and a wife and will lose his job. Wow. He stated time went by and he did not want her girls to find out. Oh, pardon me. So back, I missed a little piece. Libler said when this happened, he thought Suzanne was abducted, so he kept quiet. He stated time went by and he did not want her girls to find out. He does not think Barry knew about him and Suzanne or what set him off, other than the fact that the guy could be easily set off by anything, you know. I'm sure you guys know that. Libler said he did not feel like he had anything to add and did not want to hurt anybody. On November 13th, 2020, S.A. Gershing and S.A. Harris interviewed Libler in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Libler said Suzanne's first message of "Howdy, stranger" to him said after her first message of "Howdy, stranger" in 2018, they began talking on their phone. Libler said he was nervous to talk to agents about, and what he did was disgraceful. In the summer after Libler's first year of college in Indiana, he attended a party with some friends at Suzanne's house. Barry and Suzanne were a couple, but Barry was not at the party. Libler said he and Suzanne kind of hooked up, not really at the party. Libler played golf almost daily. At the time, Barry worked on the golf course. Barry found out about Libler and Suzanne hooking up at the party. Upon seeing Libler on the golf course, Barry jumped off the tractor and he was ready to beat me down. Libler told Barry, "You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose everything." Libler talked him out of it, and that was the last interaction Libler had with Barry. Libler said he did not talk to Suzanne until 2018, following that night in Indiana. He explained, "I'd tell her I carried a torch for her all that time." Libler and Suzanne used to FaceTime to communicate in 2018 through Libler's daughter, though Libler's daughter saw one of their communications in late 2018, and Libler told Suzanne they had to stop. They did not speak until around Christmas 2018 because Libler deleted Facebook, Instagram, and all messaging between him and Suzanne. Around Christmas 2018, Suzanne found Libler's LinkedIn account and sent a message with the words to the effect of, "I'm worried sick about you. Are you okay?" Libler responded to the message and they began talking again, first in a platonic way. Then their relationship progressed again. Libler said they communicated through FaceTime, but not physically see each other in 2018. Suzanne and Libler communicated regularly from late 2018 through May 9th to 2020, and she provided him with numerous reasons why she wanted to leave Barry. Between February 2019 and February 2020, Libler and Suzanne met each other in New Orleans, Florida, Indianapolis, Michigan, Dallas, and again in Florida. During the last 5 trips, they stayed in hotels, talked and shared meals, and had consensual, extreme intimacy. Libler has not traveled to Colorado to see Suzanne, partly because Suzanne said Barry has surveillance cameras all around the house. And a note to that, Libler also told agents on November 13th, 2020, that he was last in Colorado when he visited Denver in 2016. Libler stated, "Here's what she told me about her relationship with Barry. Not good, lots of fights, very argumentative, felt like it was horrible for her health mentally." Libler asked Suzanne if she felt afraid Barry would hurt her. And she answered, "He would never cross that line. He's learned," let's see here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. "He's learned," Libler took that to mean something happened physically one time to Suzanne, whether Barry shoved her or hit her. Agents asked Libler when Suzanne first said she loved him, and he replied she told him that in 2018. They discussed that they were soulmates and meant for each other. They eventually exchanged words of love to each other. Libler explained they were soulmates because of their approaches to the world and to people. Libler said that Suzanne treated people well, not simply for social stair climbing or status benefits. Libler was striving to be that type of person. He stated he was not a good person, though. He was horrible for having this relationship with Suzanne. When agents asked Libler how Suzanne took steps to be careful about Barry knowing her travel activities, he said, "When Barry called, Libler left the room." This happened once in Suzanne's hotel room in New Orleans. Agents asked Libler what other steps they took to conceal their relationship from Barry. He responded, "We talked all the time about protect, for the kids, for family, all that stuff." Suzanne knew when Libler was going to be working in his car, and he never initiated conversation with a phone call or a text. They communicated through his LinkedIn account in 2019 to determine when they could FaceTime. Agents asked Libler if Suzanne ever spoke about leaving Barry. He said Suzanne's plan was to get out of the house and to college before Suzanne would probably go on her own. Libler and Suzanne talked about one day being together. She told Libler this was not about him. It's about her getting away. He said Suzanne was not happy mentally. She could not take it, and it was wearing her out. Libler had a corporate LinkedIn account, and he created a second account to use to communicate with Suzanne. They stopped talking on the phone in December 2019. Libler deleted his second LinkedIn account of blank after Suzanne disappeared when he thought she was abducted. Libler said, "I didn't want her legacy to be she had an affair with this guy." Libler and Suzanne stopped talking over the phone in December 2019 because she told him, "We can't use the phone anymore," she said. "Barry watches everything I do, and I'm afraid he's gonna find out." Suzanne mentioned an incident when she was on the beach in Mexico listening to music on her phone, and Barry was suspicious of her. Libler said she started handing her phone over to him and told him, "Do whatever you want, go through it." Libler and Suzanne used WhatsApp because they could talk and leave messages, but there was no phone record of it. Libler did not think there would be call records of them talking past December 2019. In October 2019, Libler had a sales meeting in Dallas, and Suzanne was traveling to Phoenix. She left a day early and went through Dallas, staying at the same hotel Libler stayed, the Galleria in northern Dallas with the ice rink inside. They spent 2 nights at the hotel together. Suzanne was going to the Phoenix conference to become certified fitness instructor with the mindset of, "What am I going to do if I leave him?" She talked to Libler about Barry's moods and anger, saying as long as he gets what he wants, everything's fine. Libler said he and Suzanne had a mutual understanding not to dive too much into the problems they had with their spouses. Libler knew Suzanne had discussions with Blank in March or April 2020 about separating from Barry and getting a divorce. Suzanne told Barry, "I just want peace," explaining she wanted it to be peaceful for the girls. Libler thought that in February 2020, Suzanne was wanting to break out on her own, but still wanted to wait until Blank graduated. I think we've heard that repeatedly, that her concern was waiting until her youngest turned 18. Libler and Suzanne felt some shame that she had so much materially, and she spoke with Libler about life transformation. Barry held the huge houses and Range Rovers over Suzanne's head. Hey guys, I'm going to take a 2-second break here. I'll be back in just a minute. Thank you. I'll be back. Sorry about that. I'm back. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more pages here, and then continue. I'll schedule something for tomorrow to continue reading this document. I was planning on going a little longer, but I have a little something that's interrupted the process here, and I'm not going to be able to go as long as I thought, so I apologize for that. I'll schedule something for tomorrow, and I will be able to read quite a bit of it tomorrow to everybody. So again, apologies. I just have something I have to take care of. Okay, so Libler said Suzanne felt some shame that she had so much materially, and she spoke with Libler about life transformation. Barry held the huge houses and Range Rovers over Suzanne's head. Barry told her things like, "I provide these things for you. You have the greatest life. You have everything. $1 million home. You have Range Rovers." Libler said they never made concrete plans, but she told him several times when she does leave Barry, she would go without contacting Libler for a while. Suzanne said she was not doing this for Libler, but for herself. Suzanne's talk of leaving Barry was like a wave with a higher frequency of waves. Libler said, "Come here, puppy." We're a puppy-friendly house, so in case you hear a little doggy in the background. Thank you, Swan Song. I appreciate that. I haven't read through the entire thing myself, so I think if it had been a second time through, it would be a little swifter and a little easier. Oh, come here. Pups, come here. Suzanne's talk of leaving Barry was like a wave of higher frequency of waves. Libler said Suzanne had faith God would provide for her and she would figure it out. Libler did not know she had an inheritance until he read about it in the media. In March through May of 2020, Libler and Suzanne talked a lot about mountain biking, and Libler looked at the trails online in Colorado. Uh-oh. Your pups, Kolb's Galaxy, are probably now hearing the squeaker toy in the background. Sorry for that interruption. So Libler did not know she had an inheritance until he read about it in the media. In March through May of 2020, Libler and Suzanne talked a lot about mountain biking, and Libler looked at the trails online in Colorado, and they sometimes talked before Suzanne went for a ride. Suzanne put her bike in her car on her way to the trailheads and did not often ride in her own neighborhood. She normally rode in the evening for about half an hour or 40 minutes. In the first week of May 2020, Suzanne told Libler the girls were going on a camping trip that weekend. Libler said anytime she was alone with Barry, she dreaded it, didn't want to be alone with him. Barry refused to go to counseling, though Suzanne offered. Barry told her, "You just need to be with who you were to me." Excuse me, let me repeat that. "You just need to be who you were to me, and everything will be fine." Libler said he thought two things could have happened to Suzanne. He, Barry, either learned about us and snapped, or maybe she told him she was going to leave him. Agents asked Libler what Barry's reaction was when Suzanne mentioned she wanted to separate from him. Libler responded, he was very much against it. She would say, because he wants everything to look perfect on the outside. Libler said he does not believe Suzanne reached out to him with the intention of having a boyfriend. He described Suzanne as beautiful, kind, someone who treated people well, and a good listener, traits that attracted him to her. Libler said Suzanne is naive in some ways because she assumed the best of people and did not see what lies beneath. While Suzanne lived in Indiana with Barry, he acted suspiciously, like he was having an affair. Libler added, "And then I can tell you, too, she, over the last year, she's like, I love him. I'd love for him to find a new girlfriend and just get out." Libler said that so long as Suzanne gratified Barry sexually, it was fine. He added, "I don't think she was deriving a lot of pleasure out of things." When agents asked Libler if he thought that or knew it, he said, "I know." She said, "It's not pleasurable." Suzanne told Libler that she would not completely starve Barry of sex. Agents confirmed with Libler that he no longer had the phone he used to speak with Suzanne. He explained that in June 2020, he dropped his phone on his stone steps, and the faceplate shattered. Libler sent the phone into his company, and they sent him a new one. The phone company sent Libler had all the same corporate apps on it as his previous phone, but none of the personal apps. Libler provided consent forms for his DNA, and the note basically explains Libler's DNA was collected and to date has not matched of any known item of evidence collected in the case. So he consented the forms for his DNA and the phone records and logins for his social media accounts. Your affiant served search warrants for LinkedIn and WhatsApp and received records for Suzanne's LinkedIn account. Okay, next page. With photos and text shared between her and Libler on the LinkedIn account. Your affiant also served warrants on the Verizon account for Libler. The following data was collected. I think I'm going to get through a page or two here and sign off for the night, and I really apologize. I was hoping to go a little bit further. We'll definitely get back to it tomorrow for everybody. Okay, number one, from LinkedIn, Libler and Suzanne sent 59 communications to each other on Saturday, May 9th, with the last outgoing message from Suzanne occurring at 2:11 p.m. when she messaged, "I'm on WA." I'm assuming that's WhatsApp. That's just my guesstimate on what that means. Libler sent response messages at 2:39 p.m., 2:46, and 2:47 that Suzanne did not answer. He also sent messages on May 10th and 11th that were not answered. Verizon records contain 738 calls between Libler and Suzanne's blank number between October of 18 and December of 19. Suzanne called Libler 74 times under international calls from the Cayman Islands between January 14th and 18th of 2019. On December 18th, 2020, agents contacted Libler by phone and showed him some of the results of the LinkedIn messaging and photos between him and Suzanne on May 9th, 2020. On May 9th, 2020, Suzanne sent a message to Libler at 11:42 a.m. that stated, "Guess who's alone again?" ? Libler told agents that message meant they were free to talk, and Suzanne was not surprised that Barry left her alone at home. Libler confirmed that Suzanne's message at 2:11 p.m., "I'm on WA," referred to her starting WhatsApp so they could share video with each other. From referencing the LinkedIn messages before and after, Libler does not believe they used WhatsApp that time or later that day. Suzanne sent this photo to Libler on LinkedIn at 2:03 p.m. That's to be the last known photo of Suzanne. Libler's message to Suzanne at 2:46 p.m. "Hey, your weather looks great," may have been in reference to the picture she sent earlier to Libler checking conditions in Colorado through the internet. Suzanne never answered that message or subsequent messages by Libler wishing her happy Mother's Day on May 10th. From the return of search warrant on Libler's Verizon phone, Libler used the same Michigan switch market ID 227 for all 23 communications from May 7th to the 11th, 2020, as he did on the day of November 13th, 2020 interview with agents at the office of the FBI in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Following the interview, Libler sent agents a screenshot of his credit card charges for his Costco wholesale credit card, blank, under the name Jeffrey S. Libler for May 2020. Noted are charges in Wixom, Michigan for $292. One note there on this last page that I'm reviewing here. FBI agents showed this May 9th, 2020, 2:44 p.m. photo of Suzanne to Barry multiple times in March and April 2021, since it may be the last proof of life in her independent of Barry. I'm going to get through one last little section here pertaining to that, and then I will start tomorrow on this section 3 here. And I appreciate everybody joining. Thanks so much. I will put a little notification up for another live here so we can review section 3 forward and hopefully get pretty far tomorrow. So he spent $292.40 at Maynard's on May 7th, 2020, and a charge of $26.58 in Howe, Michigan on May 9th, 2020, and Howe, Michigan on May 11th, 2020. These charges are consistent with home improvement stores and the dock project Libler told agents he was working on in the days leading up to and through Mother's Day weekend at his Michigan residence. Libler also messaged Suzanne on 5/7/2020 saying that he went to Maynard's, and Susan asked him on 5/9/2020 whether he had finished his dock. Thank you, Cowboys Galaxy. I greatly appreciate that. Yes, I believe that was the photo where he said she looked drunk. Pretty certain that was the one. And they are saying that they believe that's the last known photo of Suzanne since she went missing. So I'm going to follow up on this tomorrow. I will post a notice for the live and what time. Sorry to cut it a little bit short. I was planning on going another bit of time here to keep reviewing everything and read the document to everybody. Again, Barry was released out of the jail in Chaffee County. He posted his $500,000 cash bond, and his 2 daughters were there to pick him up from the jail today. So he did post his bond. He's wearing a GPS monitoring system, and if everybody isn't aware, he has to stay residing and being in the Chaffee County area per the judge, part of his requirements for bail. So I will post a notice. I'll start with section 3 here tomorrow. I appreciate everybody joining in today. Much gratitude. I hope everybody's doing well. Stay safe. Have a great night. And I appreciate it very much. Thanks, everybody. Look for the notification so we can read the rest of the document. We have about 100 and quite a few pages to go. Oh, I'm trying to post a note to everybody, and it's telling me it won't go through. So puppies are saying goodbye as well. For some reason, it's showing it will not post my message, but good night, everybody. Stay safe. Thank you. And we see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Stay safe. Bye for now.